WrestleMania 40 is in the history books now. The Rock came back and made WWE history as the final boss, building up his feud with Cody Rhodes leading into WrestleMania, which saw Cody Rhodes walk away with the WWE title, defeating Roman Reigns, finishing the story. But how was it supposed to happen? We know that it was a huge clusterfuck. We know that it was a mess when The Rock came in and kind of started to push his way into Cody's main event title spot at WrestleMania. It upset the fans. It upset the entire wrestling industry. But what we ended up getting out of it was overbooked Mania. It was glorious and widely regarded as one of, if not the best WrestleMania matches of all time. So how did it all come about? Well, if you're like me and you're a huge fucking nerd about this kind of behind the scenes type stuff, man, do we got a story for you. It was on Busted Open if you want to listen to the whole thing. Link in the description below. But I did pluck out the meat and potatoes, the highlights, if you will. But I want to break it up into a couple pieces here because there was a lot here, a lot to address and go through. This was Brian Gewirtz, who was the head writer of WWE for a whole number of years during the Attitude Era. He basically was the guy that kind of slid into Russo's spot after Russo left. And he was The Rock's top guy. And Rock actually took him with him after he left WWE to be like his personal writer for whatever the fuck else he does, right? So Brian naturally would come back to WWE with The Rock anytime that The Rock would do it and be like there to help write his skits and that sort of thing. So all of this started, we have Brian Gewirtz now on Busted Open, ready and open to talk about what really happened. And he takes us back to the beginning where The Rock was supposed to do WrestleMania 39 but didn't. And now maybe he might do WrestleMania 40, and we'll see how it goes. Check out this clip.
As you know, as Rock's talked about with McAfee and everything else, Rock versus Roman was talked about for WrestleMania 39 in LA. It was very close to happening. It didn't happen for a specific creative reason, which isn't my story to tell. That's Rock's story to tell one day. But after, around when WrestleMania 39 happened, I called my friend at WWE, Tommy knows, on the creative team, and I just said, hey, just so you know, I've been talking with Rock, and similar to the Rock Ronda tag match, I said there's a good chance that Rock and Roman might be a possibility for WrestleMania 40. This is, a year before. I said, what do you guys plan for WrestleMania 40? And he's like, well, as you saw, this is after WrestleMania 39, the day after. So Cody lost. The idea is to give him a solid year to, go through many trials and tribulations, starting with Brock, and then do the rematch at WrestleMania 40. I said, okay, great. Like, well, this might exist, just so you know. I'm just letting you know. You don't need to change anything. You don't need, because who knows? So many, it's, as you know, a year in advance, so many different things can happen. I think the Denver show kind of like got the juices flowing. I think schedules started getting rearranged. Business side stuff with TKO and everything started to come into focus. And it started, in the fall looking more and more like a possibility. It was looking very much like a possibility that Rock and Roman was going to happen. And we had a meeting in Rock's, he rented a hotel room for the day in San Diego. It was me, Rock, Triple H, and Nick. And we talked about it all, Nick Khan, and we talked about it all. And Triple H was very, as you would imagine, aware and astute of the concurrent Cody storyline and brought that up. And we talked about that for a while. As we were talking about Cody, it was said, well, you know what? I hear you. Maybe we should do a little test polling of the audience, and not just the audience in San Diego, but the audience all over the world. What if I kind of teased it without saying it directly? We brainstormed on how to do that. And as you saw, the place went nuts, and, online went nuts when he, teased head of the table. And at that point, we were like, okay, that gives us our answer. We're locked in.
So now you have this situation where Cody was building this long-term story to finish his story, so to speak, against Roman Reigns that creative had already indicated to Brian Gewirtz when he called and let them know that The Rock might possibly be curious. Yeah, sure. Rock might probably curious when he was going to come in and work with Ronda Rousey against Triple H and Steph. He might probably curious when he was going to come in at WrestleMania 39, but decided that creative didn't work for him, brother, which I have a theory about. I think, nobody's really said anything about it, but I think it was because of the Vince scandal. I think Rock wanted to kind of keep his distance away from the WWE until that whole thing played out. So he was probably going to do it and then decided, you know what, shit's a little too hot right now. I don't know if I want all that Vince McMahon stink on me right now. So I'm just going to wait and see. I think that was the case, but I have nothing to go off of it other than timing of the situation. But sure, Rock wants to come in. We're going to continue building Cody Rhodes. That's what we're going to do. So that's what they did. And now Rock, everything moved itself into place. And Rock decides, no, I'm going to be in the match now. And Triple H, rightfully so, was like, yeah, but Cody Rhodes. Hello? Whoa. Fans love this fucking guy. It's his time. Rock's like, yeah, but I'm The Rock, right? You know, people want to see this match. Cody's schmody. Let's take a poll. We'll take a poll. We'll ask the crowd. And then the crowd, we'll sit at the head of the table. And the crowd just goes, yes, we love you, Rock. We love that idea. So then Rock and Brian Gewirtz, who I guess are now the boss, the head fucking chief chili fry makers in charge over there, overrule Triple H, the creative guy, and just go, okay, I guess we got our answers, so that's what we're doing now. Problem is, Cody Rhodes. So going into January now, we know The Rock is signed up for this. He's going to do the match. Yet, they still go through and have Cody Rhodes win the Royal Rumble? What exactly was their plan here? Well, let's tune back in to Brian Gewirtz on the Busted Open radio show and hear what he had to say.
It was pretty much locked in at that point, which begs the question, which I know you're going to ask, which everyone would ask and naturally ask, which is, okay, if all of that is the plan at this point in mid-January or whatever it is, why, for the love of all things holy, do you have Cody Rhodes win the Royal Rumble?
So I would have to figure that the plan would be Rock and Roman and then Cody and Seth Rollins for the World Championship, correct?
Not exactly.
If you're going to have Cody win the Royal Rumble and you are planning in Rock and Roman at WrestleMania and Cody's not going after the World Championship, what was the plan coming out of that?
Well, let me backtrack for a second
Okay.
and just say there's, the idea of Cody winning the Rumble, I thought was problematic. To be in full, transparency, I said even in San Diego in that meeting, I thought the cleanest thing to do if we're booking Rock and Roman is to have Punk win the Rumble and challenge Rollins, just because there's a difference storyline wise, in my opinion, of Cody wanting to finish the story and having earned the right to finish the story by winning the Royal Rumble. Once you win the Royal Rumble, that dynamic changes from I want to donate my hamstring to OG Anunoby so we could beat the Pacers in the playoff. That's not going to happen. But Cody winning the Rumble changes the dynamic completely because it goes from something that, yeah, we all want things, but now he's got it. And why would he do anything other than focus on Roman? And that's what he naturally did when he pointed to him. Why wouldn't he? It's exactly, what that character would do. I'll just say that, and I know I can't. I do ultimately want to write a second book, I think, on this whole thing. But I will say, so I don't want to say everything, but I will say, and I could say this with 100% certainty, that the original plan is something you, Dave, and many, many more people would have hated more than anything in life itself. I can't overstate that or understate that. I can't state that any more clear. But Punk gets hurt. and the dominoes start falling and things start shifting. And then we get to a point now where the WrestleMania press conference is coming up. We need to promote, something, a main event of some sort. And we're in this space. And now we get to the infamous Birmingham, Alabama promo.
So these morons came up with the stupidest storyline to go into WrestleMania with that didn't make any sense at all. They wouldn't even want to talk about it. Brian wasn't even going to admit to what the original plan was going to be with Cody. They essentially came to the conclusion that Cody doesn't really, I mean, he could win his, he wants to finish the story, but I mean, fuck, I want $1 million. You know what I mean? So and look, that's kind of rude and dismissive to begin with. Here's Brian Gewirtz. Let's recap the story here before we go further. Here's Brian Gewirtz going, hey, The Rock, who said he was going to do a match with Ronda and then didn't, and then said he was going to come work with Roman at WrestleMania and didn't. He says he wants to come wrestle again. Okay, sure. He says that all the time. Fuck The Rock, right? Also, we have this huge story building with Cody, to which Brian Gewirtz was told this. Hey, this is what we're doing for WrestleMania this year. We're going to build Cody up and give him his rematch. Brian knew this going in. They disregarded that. Rock still thought it would be a good idea. He still thought in his head, Cody Schmody. I want $1 million. Cody can, The Rock's got $1 million, but you get the point. $1 million bajillion dollars. Anybody can want anything, but so what? The Rock, he's a superstar. Cody can wait. He can finish the story at Madison Square Garden, as Bully Ray once pitched. Does he have to finish the story at WrestleMania? Problem is that WrestleMania has been built up to such this iconic, that's where all stories begin and end, kind of, right? That's where the big one happens. If you want the biggest launch pad for your new baby face to enter into this new era as a new champion, you launch him at WrestleMania, right? That's where this it had to happen there. But sure. It could have happened somewhere else. The point was to win the WWE title that his father didn't have, which was stupid and dismissive completely, both. But then they had the bonehead idea of having Cody fucking win the Rumble anyway. Why? Both Cody and Punk have said that they did not call an audible in the ring when Punk got hurt, that this was the plan all along. And as you even heard Brian say, so he's distancing himself from this, he's saying this was not my idea. I thought the best way to do this would have CM Punk win the Rumble and challenge Seth, and then that way Cody, well, he wanted it, but he didn't earn it. If he didn't earn it, tough shit, better luck next year or next time. And then have The Rock move in and get his shot, which the fans still would have rejected because they were still behind Cody. But then they had Cody win the Rumble, which LaGreca's like, so what? Cody was going to challenge Seth then, right? They're like, no. No. We had Cody win the Rumble so that he could still come out and just say, you know what? I have a better idea. Why don't I give this title shot to The Rock? That's what I'll do, because then he'll stick it to Roman. He'll take the title off of Roman. Then I'll go get the title later or something. I don't fucking know. It was so stupid. Thankfully, CM Punk got hurt. Not thankfully, but look, a lot of good shit's come from it. This whole angle with him and Drew McIntyre. We were going Seth Rollins and Punk, which would have been great. Would have been just fine. But now we got all this magic with Drew and Punk and Cody, because the wrestling gods, which do include his father, by the way, the wrestling gods were looking over this whole situation, and they were looking over Cody Rhodes for that night. But they were doing it begrudgingly because they had it in their mind that they could have this thing where Cody just comes out and says, you know what, gee golly, I know I earned it, but what would be better is if I stepped aside and let The Rock do it instead. And they knew it was a chance that it's not going to work out, right? It was all hanging on Cody. Could he deliver it the right way? Well, he didn't. And I have thoughts about that too. But check out this clip.
So we're at this place now where the idea at least, and it wasn't necessarily my idea, but we all sort of said, all right, this is where we're at, which is, okay, the story for Cody is to win the belt that his dad could never win. It's not to beat Roman Reigns, and it's not to do it at WrestleMania. It's technically, and now obviously that's the most ideal place to do it, and that's the best version of it. But the idea is that's his story. I need to win this belt. So, and again, I'm not saying this is necessarily a good idea, but this is where we were left with after the injuries and after everything else, is that if Cody himself somewhat endorses this idea and paves the way for Rock and Roman, and if he does it, in a confident kind of like, I know what I'm doing, everybody, and Cody certainly tweeted that, maybe not, but maybe the audience will go along with it. And and again, I'll be very clear on this because I don't want there to be any ambiguity. It is nearly an impossible situation to put Cody in. Cody and Rock, they did this segment. It was, I will say it was a little more, downtrodden than I was expecting watching from the audience. But again, it's an impossible position. And for a second, it seemed fine because the crowd in Birmingham popped, big. Rock and Roman had their stare off. Everyone in Gorilla afterwards were, being, okay, great, we're on track. And then, as you voiced, the vitriol came. And came hard and heavy and fast and, understandable. And then the next thing that happened after that, I got a voice message from Rock that weekend, and he left me a voice message saying, okay, hear this one out. What if I turned heel?
So all the way up until that very night where Cody Rhodes stepped aside and let The Rock take his fucking spot at WrestleMania for no real apparent reason other than I'm playing chess and you're playing checkers. Ooh, we got the master plan. We're going to embarrass you and take your title. Ha ha. That was the idea. That was the entire idea. Till the fans took a giant, steaming, hot shit pile right on top of that idea. Immediately that night on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all of that shit. The video footage of that promo went down as WWE's most disliked video in the entire history of their YouTube existence. And they have a diamond they've been viewed 100 bajillion times, right? They got the diamond plaque. People didn't even know that existed, except for like Mr. Beast. But WWE's got one, and they've never had a video that was as disliked as that. Thankfully, they abandoned their plan. They didn't stubbornly stick with it, and they abandoned it and reversed course and said, all right, let's okay, I'm a heel now, Rock says, and Cody's gonna fucking get his match. Then they had to figure out how the hell that was gonna even happen. The wrestling gods were with Cody, but I do think, remember I said I had something to say? They wanted Cody to go out there, talk about playing chess while they're playing checkers. Check this out. They wanted Cody to go out there, and Brian Gewirtz used the phrase steely demeanor for Cody to go out there confidently like he knows something that Roman doesn't. Like, here's the plan. We have a master plan where, yes, I'm going to step aside now and let Rock take my WrestleMania spot, but really, we know what's best. We have a plan, and Cody tweeted it and everything. They really thought that was going to fucking work. I can't believe it. What they ended up doing, where it all ended up working out beautifully, and it worked out for Cody. But the disrespect, the outright disrespect for Cody Rhodes. But I think Cody saw that as an opportunity he gave the old proverbial boo-boo face. Remember when Cody was walking back down the aisle and he turned and he looked at the ring and the camera caught it, which made me think that it was planned. But the camera saw Cody, and maybe, they were planning to get his reaction where he was going to be like, go get him, Rock. But instead, he gave us those baby blue eyes, and he had just that little bit of a pouty face. Like, I'm doing it, but I'm doing it begrudgingly. And that killed the whole fucking thing. Brian was right. If it ever had a chance to work, Cody had to be the one to sell it. Now, the crowd was never going to buy it anyway. It was always going to be rejected. But Cody didn't quite sell it the way that they asked him to. He might have went into business for himself there a little bit and created that reaction, or at least helped feed that reaction in the fans that night on social media. I like to think he did. I would like to think that that's his way of sort of, because by all accounts, sorry, I just burped into the microphone. I don't know if you guys heard that or not. I couldn't help it. I'm not going to cut. I'm on a rant. Fuck you. Shit, now I lost my spot. By all accounts, Cody was cool as hell. He did raise his concerns. He did speak his piece, but he didn't like bitch and complain or be dramatic about it, or just like, okay, if this is the plan, this is the plan. Let's go out there and do it the best that we can. But I do think Cody kind of kept in the back of his mind, if I can just give the crowd a little bit of a facial and let them know that I'm doing this begrudgingly, let them in on that, then they're gonna come and they're gonna speak on my behalf. And that's exactly what happened. And thankfully they fucking reversed course. To me, this is bad, actually. This leads me to believe that WWE is a shit show behind the scenes. This big master plan. They didn't have any kind of master plan. And the fact that Triple H, now credit to Brian Gewirtz, said that Triple H was outspoken about the Cody Rhodes position, right? We had this thing with Cody Rhodes, but clearly he was overruled by The Rock. Maybe it wasn't The Rock. Maybe it was Nick Khan. They also mentioned that Ari Emanuel was in on some of these text conversations and stuff, Brian. So why is Ari Emanuel sitting in on the creative meeting for fucking WrestleMania? What the fuck does he know about pro wrestling to be in on any kind of creative meeting? Does he sit in on the creative meetings with Dana White? Does Dana have to run by Ari Emanuel if he wants fucking Conor McGregor to fight whoever the hell? Probably not. They've always been hands off with UFC, which is why I thought, he's just buying WWE to own WWE, but he's not going to get involved in the creative. Well, he got involved in the creative. I don't know if this was his brilliant idea. Brian said it wasn't his idea. So he's throwing somebody under the bus here. It wasn't Triple H's idea. So it was either The Rock's, Nick Khan's, or Ari Emanuel's. I don't know how hands-on Ari was with this. Brian just mentioned that Ari was in on those texts and had contributed his opinions, which is enough for me to be... he doesn't belong in the creative side. He's not that guy. Nick Khan probably shouldn't even be there. I don't even know why Nick Khan's there other than he's the Rock's guy, and he's kind of maybe the intermediate, between him and Triple H or whatever, because I'm sure there's no love lost between Rock and Triple H there. And Rock clearly doesn't seem to have any kind of respect for what Triple H was doing at the time, what the current story plans were. Remember, all the way at the very beginning, the very first thing that was mentioned after Brian Gewirtz called WWE creative and said for the third time in as many years or within 5 years or whatever, that, Rock is interested in possibly coming and having a match with Roman. Sure. I bet. We're going to keep doing the Cody thing. And even then, even if they did believe him at the time, they were already, look, man, Cody, we got this thing. We're investing in Cody. And they literally, their whole idea was, well, fuck Cody, right? Cody can want to finish his story all he wants, but, he doesn't need to finish his story. He doesn't need to finish it at WrestleMania or against Roman Reigns. No, he can win it on a house show off of fucking Drew McIntyre, and it'll be just as special. Ooh. No. But that's what the brain trust thought was best. If I was Cody, I would be concerned with that. You guys fucking just kicked me aside. Maybe they thought it would be bigger business. Obviously, having The Rock involved will be bigger business regardless, but not if it's a bad storyline. They could have killed As much as WWE is on a fucking high right now and everybody's loving them and they can do no wrong, just like AEW a few years ago, they really could have killed WWE creative had they just went ahead with that fucking plan. And for Brian to be so embarrassed of the original idea, who knows? I mean, the idea was bad enough that Cody and Rock would have come up with a scheme to really stick it to Roman, the 4D chess story. I'm going to give Rock my main event because I have an idea. Sure. What's worse than that? Was Cody just going to give it to The Rock because he thought Rock deserved it better? Instead of doing the whole 4D chess, we have a plan angle, Cody was just going to forfeit it to The Rock? I don't know. What would have been... I shudder to think. But the fact that they can come in and override Triple H, override Cody Rhodes, override the creative that's current on a whim, like, hey, we're in this year, so let's be in. And I get you want The Rock to be in the biggest spot, and you want Rock on the show, and look, nobody was ever saying that Rock and Roman wasn't a great match that they wanted to see. They wanted to see it last year in Hollywood, where it should have been. But Rock fucking pissed on it, so they built up Cody instead. Cody's rise could have been a year later. It is what it is. And it all worked out. People still, like I said, people regard this as one of the best WrestleManias of all time, one of the best WrestleMania builds, one of the best WrestleMania matches. You could say all of that, and I wouldn't disagree with you. It was fun as hell. But, man, they fucking just pulled it out of their ass at the last second based on crowds' bad reactions to the shit that they did plan on doing, and they just completely took a giant steaming shit all over Cody Rhodes and Triple H for that matter. And if Nick Khan and Ari Emanuel were on Team Rock, let's figure out a way to get Rock in our main event. Triple H is kind of fucked at that point, right? He doesn't have the power to be like, yeah, fuck you guys. This is what we're doing. Because they'd be like, okay, well, you're replaced. There was already that rumor that Brian Gewirtz was going to come in and take over the creative team and shit. Yeah. Big mess, but I'd love to know your thoughts. We've made this very long, but there was a lot to talk about, a lot to get here, and I was endlessly fascinated with this. I highly recommend you check out the whole interview because I did leave out a lot. You're not getting the full thing here in these clips, but I can't just play somebody else's whole entire show. You know what I mean? I got to be selective with what I borrow and that sort of thing, but... man, fascinating interview with Brian Gewirtz, deep dive behind the scenes, and apparently there'll be more. There's that documentary that's going to follow everything behind the scenes, which I think will probably tell us more or give us better context, show us these reactions. And then Brian even said, hey, I even want to write another book about all this someday. So more will come out, I'm sure. But what are your thoughts? Leave them down in the comments below. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, fuck Cody anyway. Rock was the bigger draw. They should have just went with The Rock and Roman. A lot of you other people, the Cody crybabies out there, would be like, yeah, but Cody. Yeah. I think it was outright disrespectful to say, yeah, well, I mean, I want things. Everybody wants things. That's just fucking rude, man. Cody was there. Cody earned it. He put in the work. And that's the thing. He's out doing those house shows every night. Excuse me. I'm getting choked up. He's out doing those house shows every night. He's hugging the kids. He's doing the Make-A-Wish shit. He's doing all the interviews in the media. And then you just come in and go, yeah, but Rock. I don't know, man. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on everything, all of it, any of it in the comments below. Also on what the original plans were, what you thought about that plan, all of it. Just let me know. Let's have a conversation. Let's keep it going there. Peace, love, and pizza. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next. Let me tell you something, brother. Thanks for watching the video. Check out more great clips by hitting that subscribe button, dude. And while you're there, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to say your prayers and eat your vitamins, brother.